Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, and for today's upload, I wanted to look back at the last year or so and think about just some things that, I used to talk about a lot on here, but I don't really talk about them anymore, and I guess just sort of touch base with that general form of content that I would do, and that of course is going to be rants about the ice school and why I don't really do them anymore. And I guess part of okay, so another question that I've asked myself as of late is, has ice finally become good enough to where my rant videos aren't warranted anymore? And to be honest with you, it's like ice is definitely not the best class by any means. I mean, for as long as drains exist, def is always going to be the best. But yeah, I mean, ice is just sort of the tank class, so it's not really going to do a lot of damage, but it was really a problem before. And before Frost Giant got its eventual buff in the spring update, which you all helped me rally for. Y'all are seriously just so amazing for helping me, get this spell buffed. It's like my community, Core and Vortex community, Core and Vortex themselves also helped a lot with this effort, and I am just so beyond thankful to all of you for just having been there and helped get the devs to see reason about the ice school, because it was very bad back in the day, and I'm saying back in the day, I mean like literally this year, but we made some serious progress, and I'm happy with where it's gone. I think that there's still a couple things left that need to be sort of addressed, but it's not as pressing as the Frost Giant buff was. Of course, we still have ice armor and frozen armor, which Gladrocker made a video recently talking about, frozen armor could be the AoE, ice armor could be the self or singular person type deal, but there's a lot to talk about here, a lot to unpack, but yeah. And then there's also things like getting Ice Blade at level 38, 20 levels after everybody else, but I think barring that, we have finally reached a point where I could say with confidence that ice is no longer a bad school. And, with the Frost Giant buff, damage becoming much more accessible, you can finally 2-round mobs in Wallaru. It's like, before you would have to, I would always Frenzy and then Crocula and then Blizzard, because I was gonna just lose out on damage anyway, or on turns rather, because if I went for a Frenzy into a Frost Giant, then I would have to pass into a Blizzard, which is 4 turns, so, Frenzy, Croak, and the Blizzard, that's 3, and it does way more damage, but you get the idea, you get the general idea behind it. It used to be very bad, it's better now. I don't really have much else to say on that, except I'm just glad that the devs finally saw reason, and finally decided to make ice better. And the argument that got through to them, by the way, was the fact that new ice players were not going to last past Azteca, where there's all those 20k health sponge bosses, and that was the one that got through to them, and I'm real happy about that. And I think it's like speaking their language is how you bring about change in this community. It's like they still aren't great listeners, but if you can at least talk to them with respect and understand that they have their own rules by which they make changes, and if you can suggest changes within those rules, they might be more inclined to think about it. And I mean, let's be real, I did suggest a lot of changes inside their rules for Frost Giant, and they didn't. They've opened a whole can of worms with Stormlord down the line. It's gonna happen someday, but yeah, I'm still happy that this got buffed. It's definitely, it could have definitely been 640 flat damage without a stun and gone up a little bit more, but you know, a buff's a buff. We got 110 base damage, and even though the stun is pretty much useless, it's at least we got damage, so it's not like bogging us down too much anymore. So I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it, and I think I genuinely want to thank the developers for this one. It's like they finally listened. That one looks cool. What is that? World Burner Rod. Oh, it costs 6,000 crowns. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna buy that. But I'm just glad that it happened, and I'm glad that we did that. Us as a community, we did that. We got the spell buffed, and we made every Ice Wizards experience miles better in PvE, and I'm happy about that. And I think, like I was saying, Ice is not a bad school anymore. We're at a point where Ice is definitely still bottom 2. There is a case to be made that it's still the quote-unquote worst school, but it's not by such a margin that it couldn't be made up for. So now it's like every school is at least playable in PvE, and I think people are happy about that. And because, I mean, why wouldn't they be, right? It's like people would not make an Ice on their account with 6 characters because it was quote-unquote the worst class, and I'm glad that that has sort of been challenged now. And, you know, I did talk a lot about how the developers just like hated Ice forever, and they did, but yeah, it's like that, this whole thing with making Ice better and getting a buff on Frost Giant is probably one of the greatest things that we as a community have done. And I'm happy. I'm a happy person regarding the Ice School these days. It's like, it used to be very, I didn't really have a great outlook on it. It was like Frost Giant had been nerfed when every other 7 pip got buffed, and I was just like, bro, back at that time. But we got it buffed. We did indeed, and seriously, I mean, thank y'all. It's that you have improved the lives of every Ice Wizard, just ever. And I guess to answer the question, is Ice good? I want to say yeah. I want to say that Ice is a good school. It's comparable, like compared to the rest, rather. It's probably like 6 out of 7, but it's playable, and that's all I can really ask for. It's like Ice's role is not really that great, and I don't really know how that can be remedied necessarily. Just like tanking is just not something that teams really need much of these days, but you know, it's like, I'm still happy that Ice can solo on its own and do its thing. It's like the budget walkthrough that I've been doing. It's like that has become a lot more fun because Frost Giant got buffed. It's like before I was sort of thinking like, oh, you know, Frost Giant is never going to get buffed, and I was thinking about like I was going to have to troll detonate a Snow Angel for every single boss fight as time went on, and that would have sucked. But I'm very glad that that did not end up happening. So yeah, don't really have much more to say except Ice is if you had gone back a year ago and told me that Ice would have been a school that's not a complete joke, not a complete laughing stock with no good spells, I would have laughed in your face. But through our efforts, through our combined efforts, thanks to y'all in the community as well as Core and Vortec, thank y'all so much. It's like y'all have made this Iceman of 13 years dream a reality. Y'all have made the school, y'all have helped make the school better, and I couldn't be more thankful. So I think that's going to wrap up. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave the comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.